timeline, March 19th, Friday, 6:40 p.m. I didn't meditate this morning. I think I mentioned it yesterday that I wasn't gonna have time to meditate today, because I was asked to come in to tutor in the morning, like kind of like TA, personal teacher's assistant. Is it a TA? How would we call it? Instructional, yeah, like a TA for the kiddo that I tutor. So I was with him all day, and so that happened in the morning, and then I was able to spend some time with family after that, and so MJ's message this morning, you know, I think yesterday's video I talked about how there was this pattern during the day of me kind of almost missing the mark, like like I was so close, but then I missed something. So MJ kind of referenced something similar this morning, but it was this missing the mark of happiness, like how to tap into my happiness, and still there was like a part of me having to realize, right, everything's found within. And just whatever I was able to get, because I only had 3 hours of sleep. I only had 3 hours of sleep. And so, you know, I chew on it and I reflect on it. And so this morning, woke up early, right? I was like, oh, I haven't done this in a while. And was trying to figure out, what am I going to wear today? And I mean, those of you that follow me on Instagram saw my post. Like, I was really excited. Yesterday I got some nice goodies from my niece, who has her like online little shop, and I had purchased like a cute headband, but I was also looking for eyeshadow, because the eyeshadow that I really like is you know, dying. And so because we have to wear masks, like I've been emphasizing my eyes a lot more. And so I was like, you know, I need to start using, like, I buy stuff. Like I don't have a lot of stuff first. I don't usually buy myself a lot of things. I don't think I do. I might have before. Yeah, I think I might have before. But I would collect them. Like, I just collected them, and I never really used them, and I had them like just in case. And so when I cleaned out my closet for TJ, like, I mean, my closet is kind of bare bones, and I'm getting rid of stuff, right? I mean, I want to pack light. I want to be able to be more mobile when I go to Spain, and not own a lot of stuff. Like, I just, there's a lot of stuff I don't need, but then there's other stuff that I'm like, I really, really like this, right? And I mentioned before that I had a wish list, and a very short wish list, and as things come off, like, you know, I delete it, and I haven't really added much to it, but I've been determined. I'm like, okay, part of my self-care, showing myself love, is that I'm going to treat myself to the things that I never made the time to treat myself for before. So one of those things was this jacket that I probably spoke about in another video that I bought at the shop. It's a cute leather jacket, my course jacket, a good find, and it's like a size big. It's a large, but I'm a medium, but I tend to layer, like, so I want to buy another jacket, or a hoodie sweater to put underneath, like when it gets cold and stuff. But I really like it, right? And I'm like, oh, when am I gonna wear it? And I thought of that, like, I saw it and I'm like, when am I gonna wear it? And yesterday I saw my niece, and I had wanted some headbands, and I bought those, and I didn't have change. So I'm like, you know, let me help support her business, right? And so she didn't have change. So I'm like, well, what can I buy with the difference? So then I realized I forgot that I wanted also eyeshadow, and then I got this lipstick that I really, really like, because I thought about Spain, and I thought about the red flowery dress that I bought for Spain, and I'm like, I need to add color in my life, right? Try to embrace my feminine side. And so so I bought these to kind of match, because it's different shades of red, and the dress that I specifically bought for Spain has a lot of red in it. So I was like, okay, well, you know, one of these is bound to match. And then thinking like, you know, I can't really wear lipsticks because I have the mask, right? Then part of me's like, why not? Why not wear lipstick underneath, right? So today was the whole like, I'm just gonna dress myself up just because, right? Having no other plans other than to go tutor and see family. So made myself look nice, feel really good. Because I realized I'm like, I have all this stuff that I always wanted to wear. Like I have a red coat that I bought that I've had it for years. I bought it when I was still living in the high desert, and that was 10 years ago. I've had that coat for 10 years, 10 freaking years, and I've only worn it. Well, now I've worn it 4 times, but before I started wearing it recently, I had only worn it twice because I was waiting for an opportunity to wear it. And I was just like, oh, no more, none of this waiting stuff. Like, tomorrow's not promised. I'm gonna wear it today. I'm gonna feel good today. So I, you know, stripped my stuff today. And, you know, I felt just really great. And so there was this point to this story, the happiness component, right? Of realizing that, you know, I'm good with just me. And you know, I mentioned I wasn't really looking to get into a relationship right now, of anything, just friendships. And I had mentioned that I was on Bumble, and the individuals that I was talking to, I let them know, and I gave them my number. I'm like, hey, you know, I believe I'm meant to cross paths with people, so if we cross paths, there must be a reason. And out of those people, like in this round of Bumble, one of those kept talking to me, right? And this was this individual that I mentioned worked 6 days out of the week, and he was willing to make the time to hang out with me, even knowing that I just wanted a friendship. So we've been communicating a lot. The other person was the other person that was working like crazy hours, right? And in our conversations, he's global entry guy. That's how I refer him to, global entry guy. The one that prompted me to think, oh, global entry, what's that? Right? Looking it up. And out of the blue, this week, he sends me a message, and I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, how you doing? Good, thanks. How are you? Didn't hear from him for a couple of days. I'm like, okay, right? I'm not going to invest energy where it's not there. I just got a text from him, and he gave me an update of what he's doing different. And he's just like, this week has been crazy. He mentioned he was been working on his resumes like crazy and sending them into different places. And he's just like I mentioned, this is my second time realizing, right, that he's overworking and needing to take self-care or do a job change like he did last time for his self-care. And kind of just like giving me an update. And I was like, okay. And then that realization, right? Like, he was open enough to receive that mirroring, right? And realizing it in himself, what he had to do different, that only he could do that. Only he can create that change. So I thought that was pretty neat. I haven't responded back to him because I just got home. But, you know, yeah, so there was that. Someone else reached out that I kind of missed seeing. And I was surprised to get a text from him because we don't really communicate, and just initiating that like initial like, hey, sorry I missed you, you know, and sorry we missed each other when you stopped by, and just hope you're doing okay, and just, I mean, it was nice. Unexpected. So I responded back, you know, hope you're doing well too. And he asked what kind of work I was doing. I asked him what kind of work he was doing. Just getting to know each other, right? So there was that. Then I get another text from another friend that I had talked to, and I actually was thinking about him this week to see how he was doing, and the same thing, like, hey, how's it going? So it's funny because I'm just like, the moment I just stop, like, not looking for it, it comes and finds me. And so it's funny because, so I went to go see, my sister, and she is talking to me about this TV show, Bridgerton? Bridgerton or something like that. And I don't watch TV. And so, for the reason that I know myself very well. and if I'm not balanced, I can down the rabbit hole. And I'll start binge watching, right? And that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to watch any like series show. I mean, I don't feel that pull anymore. Like I'm hoping I can like control it better. So anyways, she's been on my case about watching it. And I'm like, no, I don't want to get stuck watching TV. But being that I'm in this transition period, I was like, okay, maybe I do need to indulge, right? In something that brings me pleasure. So she invited me out to lunch, and when we brought the lunch back, she's like, I'm gonna put the first episode of Bridgerton, I think is what it's called. And I'm like, okay, sure. I was hooked. 5 minutes in, I was hooked. It's the time period I like. It's, the whole classical, and then there's like that modern twist, and they were telling me that the music, it mimics, it's like the classical version of the music that's coming out now. And, you know me, I love music, so I'm like, I'm hooked. Even more so the fact that how the first episode ended, right? That they were both not interested, right? But at the same time, the type of energy that put off, right? For the girl, I don't know her name. One of the guys didn't want any attention, but the other girl was wanting the attention. So I thought it was interesting, like the opposites, right? So on the drive home, I was reflecting on that. I'm like, that was how that show ended. And I'm like, the moment that I made that choice, I'm like, I don't want to be in a relationship right now. And then almost like like a magnet, I'm like, oh. and I don't know, like I didn't really think I was gonna hear back from Global Entry guy. Like I really didn't think, because he just seemed really committed to his work. So I was like, okay. But yeah, so that happened today. That's the only pattern I can think of in retrospect. And then just the birth chart reading was a continued theme today. Yeah, the birth chart reading was a continued theme today, and allowing people to be who they are was also a common theme. I mean, with the kiddo that I'm tutoring, there was a lot of pushback. He's a Virgo. A lot of pushback. A lot of just a lot of like sword thinking, like just going down the rabbit hole, right? And I noticed that when I tried to help bring him out, I was like, it was worse. So I was like, I'm just gonna be, right? The moment I would let go, the moment I would say, okay, that's your choice, right? I mean, he's a junior high kid. I'm like, that's your choice. And he's like, well, it seemed like it was almost like for attention. But then the moment I would take my energy back, right? He was quick to realize that I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Put my earphones on and attend to my things. He was quick to want my attention again and want to engage. And I don't think he did it in a way where it was, people can probably perceive it as you're manipulating the situation. But manipulation is just another fancy word for doing what you need to do to get what your need. To get your needs met, right? And for him, I mentioned that he was struggling not being in school because he thrived off of the energy, the attention from the other people. When he was in school, straight A student, like good student. If anything, he was like the class clown, got in trouble for talking too much. But now that that attention is not there, he's having to figure out how to fulfill that in himself, and he's struggling with that. And then his grades started dropping. And so when I stepped in, when I was asked to step in, his grades came back up because now he has attention again. And so it's you know, I mentioned to him, like, birth chart, just to kind of get his interest about his sign, and he was like really interested, but then he pushed it away. Like his thought process kept like blocking him, and his negative thinking kept blocking him, and I would try to, like, I would say something and then I'd pull back. I'm like, okay, whatever, you do you, right? And I would give him back his power. I'm like, you're gonna do you, I'm gonna do me. But he wanted us to kind of work together still. And then at the end, he was just kind of done. I'm like, if you're done, if you're okay with being, he showed me his grades. He's like, I gotta see them. I'm like, if you're okay with that, if that's the level of work that you want to put out, then that's the level of work you're going to put out. I'm going to respect that, right? You're not failing. I mean, it's progress from him failing all of his classes to now he's not failing any. So I'm like, giving him his power back. I'm like, that's your choice. I'm okay with it if you're okay with it. So, and I had already had a conversation with his mom about my style of doing this work. So yeah, so that happened. And then I got another lead of possible work, because I'm, you know, I think few videos before I was like having my worst case scenario plan and then my worst case scenario plan. And I thought, okay, well, I have this plan. I should let my ex-partner know the plan because it might include him if I go back. And just for, like, you know, shelter, worst case scenario. And I talked to him actually the other day, and last night, and we were just laughing at that. Yeah, he was just laughing at me. But where was I going with that? Oh, because my sister found me a lead of possibly selling. So we're gonna go to the Long Beach antique thing. I've never been to it, and she's been wanting me to go, and so we're gonna go this Sunday. And she mentioned, she's like, I know someone who's looking for someone to help them sell jewelry. Would you be interested? And sorry, that's my phone. And so, so she said if I was interested, and I'm like, well, how much does it pay? And then she's just like, $50 an hour plus commission. So I'm like, okay, $50 an hour, that's not bad, right? I mean, I was getting paid the same amount, $50 an hour, or not $50 an hour, but one of the other positions was like $50 or $60 an hour per session to do therapy. And I want to try something else. And so I thought, selling, like, I always struggled selling stuff years ago. Like, I always struggled, like, that was something that I really struggled in, because it was hard for me to sell something, especially when my heart wasn't in it. But she mentioned that this person sells jewelry, and specifically like stones and stuff. And she's like, you would be perfect at it. We can stop by her booth on Sunday. And I'm like, would it just be there? And she's like, no, she travels to other places. I'm like, interesting. And I thought, well, is it contract work? Like, is it? And she's just like, I don't know. We'd have to find out. I'm like, So I might just do that, you know, because it'll help me learn a little bit more about the crystals. It'll help me work on my social skills, right? I mean, I guess naturally I'm supposed to be social, but I came from my south node of kind of being behind the scenes, not in the public eye, like struggling being around people. And I want to continue to be more comfortable with my discomfort, right? So I'm like, well, these are hard. I'm in a different spot in my life where I'm like, I'm game. You know, I think this is a skill that I need to work on. and right? Like when you have nothing else and you're just, I mean, I have other options, but I was just finding the right one. And she said that she sells crystals. She sent me her link, so I need to look at it. So I'm excited to see if that could be my side gig for a while. Or, yeah. We'll see how that goes. There was something else. Oh, I was going to talk about, like, you know, when you sell stuff, especially yourself. Like, I mean, even in my degree, right? There, I don't remember, and maybe if they changed the curriculum in graduate class school now, but when I was in it, like, they never taught us how to market ourselves. They never taught us how to market ourselves if we were to do our own private practice. And I remember that was a common theme, and even amongst my peers, there was always this sense of insecurity of, how do you do this? How do you market yourself? There has to be a belief in the service that you provide, right? Or in the product that you have to share to the world. And then I'm thinking about, like, you know, Steve Jobs, and then, you know, the dad from the Bucket List family, Garrett G. He was the one that inspired me, because he uses his family as a way to, like, the uniqueness of his family. That's how he's promoting the work that they do. They're just traveling journalists. And so I'm like, okay, well, I am wanting to work on that promoting part of myself, of this message that I truly believe is going to be helpful. So I need to figure out how to do that. And I think the first step was creating an Instagram account, and having to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And for me, technology is like, like, I struggle with that. It came up again yesterday too, just technology and the iPhone, and how I had to return it after 3 days of taking off my shoes. There he goes. Yeah, how I couldn't figure it out, and I needed a backspace button, but now that I'm using the Mac, that's not called the Mac. Yeah, MacBook, right? That's what it's called. I'm needing to just to do a little more, like, of that, you know, to market myself. I guess that's it. I wasn't gonna talk about it, but I guess I did. But I don't know if I did it in the way that I was supposed to, in my head, because I didn't write it down. But yeah, I think that's it. I didn't meditate. I'm not planning on meditating because I was really tired. I fell asleep in my car, ran an errand, and so I'm gonna meditate tomorrow, and, you know, respond to these individuals that reached out today, and then just finish learning a little bit more about. I have a list of things to do. So, yeah. You guys have a good one. Bye. One more thing. 2 more things. I'm gonna go ahead and include the link to my niece's Instagram account, if you guys like these, just to promote, you know, her stuff. If she's still selling it by the time I post this. Really neat stuff. And then if this shop selling thing works, jewelry thing works out for me on Sunday, and it's something that I plan on doing, before I post this, I'll include the links of all of those people in there too, so that you guys could come and check out the shop that I'm helping sell stuff for, with all the crystals and jewelry and stuff. So just want to share that. So you guys can look out for that too in the description box below. All right, take care. Bye. My name is Yubi, and in case you haven't figured it out, this footage is capturing my experience as I learn to navigate my personal spiritual awakening. I am learning that this experience is unique to each one of us. In whatever way we believe we are embracing living our truth, this just happens to be my journey. And despite me having a graduate degree and a license in clinical social work, this by no means is intended to replace any type of mental health advice. This is just me on a personal level, documenting my experience, shedding light on the truth that I am learning and discovering for myself, and really inviting you along for the ride. If by some magical chance you find this content to be helpful in any way, shape, or form, please click the like button, share the message, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have an Instagram account, a personal one, and one specifically for this channel that you're more than welcome to check out. I'm an open book. I have also created t-shirt designs. I'm wearing my favorite one right now, which is the North Node design, but I have that and other things that you can look at inspired by this process and journey, and I have the link in the description box as well as in the about section of my YouTube channel. So you're more than welcome to check those items out. Any type of support is great. Again, if you find this content really helpful or meaningful, sometimes when we take that step and be vulnerable, with showing what's inside our hearts and what's really our truth, we realize that we're much more connected than what we thought we were. And so I hope that as I'm living this experience and that you find some type of truth for yourself, or find some type of ability to heal in some way just by relating, just by knowing that you're not alone. That really has been my goal with this process, not just being able to connect with others, but really for my own healing. It's definitely been a therapeutic experience and a very creative one for myself. So I thank you, and I wish you all the best, and we'll see what else comes next for me. So take care.